So, when last we left our heroes, the party had been in the Fey-infested enchanted forest, fighting a somewhat monstrous creature from French folklore called a Lou Carcohl. I'm sure my pronunciation is terrible and I apologize for that, but nonetheless. This is a giant and monstrous snail, over 2 meters tall, with long tentacle-like appendages that are said to be able to stretch terrifying, impossible distances, which you did see to an extent when you entered its lair. The tentacle appendages on the front of the sleeping creature looked to be a meter long or so, but when Mina slipped on its mucus trail, the head of her halberd, Albert, clanging against the walls of the cave and awaking the creature, those 1 meter tentacles stretched out the 4 or 5 meters they needed to and grasped her and pulled her in to try to devour her. You did eventually defeat the creature with some good tactics, some nice use of spells. I do believe Aminata's gun did critically misfire, so she will probably need to try and get that repaired. You do have a gun maintenance kit yourself. You might be able to repair it. If not, maybe the village blacksmith might be able to repair it for you. That's a problem for a later time. The party is now left the lair and has made your way out of the forest. Poor Mina is still covered in mucus pretty much from head to toe, and you are heading in the direction of the Castillion farm. This was the farm where you met this farmer, somewhat quiet guy, not much of a chatterbox, unbelievably beautiful looking man, gorgeous looking man with this dusky tanned complexion. Like it was, yeah, like absolutely gorgeous guy. These startling blue eyes, perfect teeth, rugged, like rugged features, cheekbones that you could cut fruit off, like gorgeous, okay, gorgeous. And his equally stunningly beautiful young daughter, who introduced herself as Juliette Castillion, about 18, 19 years of age, so similar in age to some of the party members, also strikingly beautiful, blonde hair, breathtaking green eyes, exquisite angular features, okay, you know, like, think cheekbones and bone structure, the likes of which you might get if Kate Blanchett and Tilda Swinton had a child, you know, that level of ridiculous bone structure, you know. So you're heading back that way. Now, just to give you a bit of a time and context, the time is currently, I believe we said it was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. There's a couple of hours until it gets dark. We're in the middle of January, and we're in France, not Ireland, so slightly less far north. So it gets dark about 6:30, 7 o'clock approximately at the moment. So you got a couple of hours till it gets dark. It's about 2-ish hours back to the town of Cherville. Yes, Sylvia? Do you have a question?
While we're walking, can we say that I'm just like looking out for her? It's like, if I see any, I'm gonna grab some. If I don't, it's fine.
You can give me an awareness roll, and you can add bushcraft and not fail or herbalism to the roll if you wish. I'm gonna say at this stage the target number is exceptionally high because you've done a few forages in the forest. It's not exactly the time of the year that it's easy to find these things, so you've been a lot of what you might find you've been finding, if you get what I mean. So.
Yeah, no, it's just kind of haywire while I'm here. It'd be awesome if I did find some. So yeah, cool. All right, so that's my awareness. So it's a +4. Yeah, that's a 9. Never mind. Just thought I'd, you know.
Okay, well, so unfortunately, yeah, that's not going to be enough for your roll. You don't find anything on the way, so continuing on, you do after about, because as you said, the Castillion farm, it backs onto the Tronçais forest, All right, so it's right on the edge there. Okay, so back onto the Tronçais forest. And you didn't have to go very deep into the forest to find the lair of the creature. So after about maybe 30-35 minutes, you're coming up to the farmhouse. Okay, you can see smoke rising from the chimney. So there's clearly people indoors. Actually, as you're coming close to the farmhouse, maybe about 15-20 meters from it, you see a figure walking out of the house. She stunning blonde hair. It is the young daughter carrying a bucket, and she's heading towards one of the structures just off from the farmhouse. But she pauses because she sees you all coming to her, and she gives a wave and puts the bucket down, the wooden bucket, and waits patiently for you all to come. Like, you know, as I say, you're only 15-20 meters from her.
So,
good afternoon.
Bonjour. Good to see that you're not all dead. And oh mon Dieu, she says, looking at Mina. You are covered in slime.
It was a snail.
Yeah.
The Lou Carcohl, it tried to eat her.
Okay, well, I'm glad to see you're not dead. Any of you, she says, looking around. Would you like to come in and freshen up somewhat? I don't know what we can really do for this. Looking at poor Mina, who you can tell is probably more concerned about the blade of her halberd. So
that would be greatly appreciated. We don't want to impose, so we'll try and, I suppose, get out of your hair as soon as possible. If we could have some, I don't know if you have any oils we could use to treat our blades before we head back into town, that would probably be the biggest concern at the moment.
Oh yes, of course. Mon père, he's got some stuff in the shed for when he's sharpening the tools. And as she says that, she was standing in front of the door to the farmhouse. She's kind of jostled slightly to the side as darting out of the house in a flurry of dark hair and just gone. You see this young lad. He looks to be probably about 12 years of age, darting past her as she shouts out after her, you're assuming her brother, says, "Pierre, watch where you're going, you little," and then he's gone. Okay, she's like, okay, so those of you who need, we can go to my father's barn and clean up your weapons, okay? And
it is very fortunate that your farm was not attacked. It was the farm that was further away that was attacked, and not you. You are very lucky.
Why? Well, I suppose we do keep some charms. And she points, and at this point you notice just over the door, and Gwyn, you definitely would recognize this, and Sylvia, you probably would as well. It's a simple charm of rowan and red twine that's just hanging over the doorway, and she points down at the ground, and you see there's like a small bowl that looks like it had some milk or something left in it. Says we keep our charms to try and keep the fae off our land. And she says, here, well, we can go and if you want, we can go and clean your weapons. And as she's saying that, you hear a voice from inside the house as she's like, Juliet, who are you talking to? And then stepping out, you see another woman. Clearly this young girl's mother. She is equally stunningly beautiful, okay? With the exact same blonde hair and has the same beautiful green eyes that the young Juliet has, okay? Equally slender, slender build in a similar kind of light blue dress, with kind of dark green wool kind of apron as well. And she's just like, oh, bonjour, Juliet, who are your friends? And Juliet goes, Whether these are the heroes that we've been hearing about who've been doing all of the adventuring, and they went into the forest earlier and they fought that monstrous snail that I told you that Father and I saw earlier. And she's, oh, okay, well, oh my dear, looking at Mina is like, would you like to clean up? And Julia says, oh no, she's gonna clean the blade of her weapon. And it's okay. Well, she says, my name is Amelie. I am Juliet's mother. Could I get you all a cup of tea or something? You could clean up inside.
That would be very kind. Thank you. We're just going to clean off plates first. That is the most time sensitive. I'm sure you could understand. And then we'll try and clean up as much as we can outside before we dirty your beautiful home.
Okay, of course. So Juliet brings Aminata and Mina to the barn, so you can clean your blades, while their mother, Emily, is just standing there looking at Sylvia, Gwyn, and Justine is like waiting, wondering like...
to say, Madame Castillion, it is quite fortunate, I was saying to your daughter, that you were not attacked despite the fact that this was the nearer farm.
I do not know what to tell you. We put charms up to keep the Fae away, and we leave out offerings, and from what I understand, the creature had already killed a sheep earlier from one of my neighbor's farms, so perhaps it was full.
There has been a lot of unusual Fae activity in the last while. Have you been affected by any of it?
No, thankfully, no. We haven't had any trouble with any of the Fae. Despite our proximity to the forest, they just tend to leave us alone, probably because we leave out offerings in the evening and we have our charms.
It's very astute to leave out the charms. Honestly, we use them back home and they do wonders against the Fae.
Wait. So while that conversation's happening, Juliet is walking with you all, and she's like, so what was it like fighting the creature? It was quite hideous when we saw it. So, I mean...
It
quite disgusting.
It definitely was hideous, like you say. Very interesting, though, to try and battle it. It has quite a long range, or I suppose a reach. So, yeah, it was very tricky, but I think we work quite well as a team.
Well, you seem to be quite formidable. I mean, I heard that you fought some direwolves a few days ago as well, and there's quite a lot of stories about your group from around the area. So, yes, I guess the town is lucky to have a group of adventurers here right now.
Yep, like Sylvia said, judging by the concerns we've heard about the increased Fae activity, then we seem to have arrived at quite the right time, coincidentally.
So at this stage, she's gotten to the farm, and she opens it up, and it's a standard farm or barn. Sorry, it's not a very large structure, but you can see numerous tools hanging in different spots. There's scythes, sickles, shears, the kind of stuff that you would expect on a farm. And off on one side there's a bench area where there are some other tools, hammers, chisels, and she leads you over to, there's a whetstone, and there's various rags, and there's a small tin not jar thingy, use your words, like Wizard of Oz, an oil can, okay? And she's, there's some oil here that you could use. There's the whetstone if you need to sharpen your blades. I think this will have everything that you need.
It's perfect.
You're so kind. Thank you.
I'm going to just head right over for the oil and start looking after my cane sword. But now I feel like it needs to have a name.
Does need to have a name.
Yeah. I'll figure that out later. Yeah, I'm just going to treat that. But while that's happening, I'm going to try and get Justine's attention. So staring.
Justine's not there. Justine and Sylvia are back over at the farmhouse. I think Gwyn had gone with you and Mina, but Justine and Sylvia had stayed at the farmhouse talking to the mother.
Okay,
I'm just checking out the charms.
Yeah, sure. That's what you're checking out.
Oh, I'm checking out, I swear.
So while Mina's cleaning Albert the halberd as well, Juliet turns to you, Gwyn, and says, "Oh, do you have any blades or weapons that you need to clean? Are you a warrior too?"
No, I definitely am not. Well, I suppose, in a way, Gwen's magic.
Gwen is so gifted. Don't listen to that self-doubting talk. She's very, very gifted and very much the warrior.
Oh well, I could tell when I laid eyes on you that there was a magical quality to you.
Oh, interesting. Well, I mean, in a way, likewise. I have to ask, are you and your family fae touched at all?
No, there's no elven blood or anything like that in our family.
Oh, my mistake. I'm so sorry.
And just like
normally when you see people that are so exquisitely perfect, I assume that there's fae blood in there somewhere.
When you say that, she blushes, and if possible, she looks even more pretty from blushing. But this is the thing: when someone is fae touched, there's always some physical quality to them that denotes their fae lineage. There's no such thing as a passing fae touched. So Mina has that quite obvious, vibrant forest green hair, for example. I can't remember what Amanada's physical features were. It was, I think, your eyes and something else, wasn't it? But the point is yeah. So the point is that there's always something about a person when you look upon them that will indicate their fae lineage. If they have giant blood, they'll be really tall and strong, 2+ meters. They might have slightly pointed ears. If they might even have some goat's horns or cloven feet or something like that. There's always something. The only thing that's unusual about this young woman is the fact that she is just gorgeous. That's the thing. But she's not got any other character. And yes, fae touch do tend to be prettier usually than your average human. Maybe not so much if they have ogre or troll blood in them, but there's nothing about this girl. There's none of the usual physical tells in this girl's features, or that you spotted in her father's features, that would indicate that she is fae touched.
Okay, interesting.
Could I do a fae lore to see if I can recall anything to do with, I don't know, maybe some sort of blessing that was put on the family that then led for people to be incredibly good looking for some reason. Just to see if there's anything that could explain the way these people look, because it is not normal. It is not normal.
Sure, give me an intellect roll. And yeah.
It's pretty.
Yeah, some people are just pretty.
But everybody, mom, dad, both kids, all not just pretty. You said beautiful.
Oh no, they are
abnormally beautiful people.
I mean, I will say it would possibly be slightly more unusual if you had such stunning parents and the children were kind of plain Janes, if you will, So But that is intellect and failure.
Intellect and failure. My intellect is 201 and so that will be an 18.
Yeah, you're really not sure. I mean, there are stories of like princesses being blessed by fairy godmothers and the likes, but you know, they are largely fairy tales more so than anything else. And you know enough about the Fae to know that there's usually actually some element of truth to those tales, that they're not just a children's story, but you know, even in those stories, it's the princess or the prince who is blessed. It's the stories generally don't tell of their family being blessed with beauty, you know, for generations afterwards. So yeah, you don't know. I mean, like, if both the parents were normal looking and the daughter was this beautiful, you might actually be thinking, does this chick have a fairy godmother? You know, you might actually be thinking that. But the fact that the parents were like really gorgeous on top of it, it's like, damn, these people are beautiful. But you know, it's not like she's an elf.
So yeah, no, there's just something about it. There's probably a few questions we could ask. Oh, actually, I'm going to turn around to Juliet and say, Juliet, would you happen to know if the rest of the townsfolk would be as, I suppose, would have as strong beliefs as yourself and your family have with all the charms? I can see you have your thorn and red twine. Like, will family be some of the most, like, would your family be the only one, or would such practices be commonplace around here?
To be honest, from what I understand, they used to be more common. It tends to be more the older people who still carry out these traditions. A lot of younger people, and by younger I mean like my father's generation and younger, less so. And I mean, you must understand that after the revolution, a lot of Fae left France and traveled to Arcadia. But I mean, as I say, yes, some of the older people in the area would definitely still have their charms and leave out their offerings. Although I did hear that the inn has a cadet. Is that true?
Yes, as of a couple of days ago now. Yes, it was very sudden. We are staying at Liberty Auberge, and it was quite a strange thing. It was during breakfast. The innkeeper mentioned that the basement, well, the cellar had been swept clean. Everything was pristine, perfect. He said his wife Marie, I believe, believed that he had done it. He said it was not. So only thing I suppose we could think of was a cadet until we saw proof of it ourselves. Later on that evening, it started cleaning up after the patron.
Well, I'm certainly with that kind of Fae activity, and also with the other things that have been happening between the Faux Follet, the Will o' the Wisp that attacked the other day, and now this creature. Maybe I wouldn't be surprised if maybe people start listening to the older women in the area and start practicing with the charms again, you know?
I do hope. I mean, they're the repositories of wisdom in a community, as you know. Is it yourself, Juliet, who makes the charms, or your mother?
Well, my mother has shown me how to make them, you know. But so you're staying at Le Petit Auberge, yes? She says, looking at
We are, yes. Yes, we are. You're more than welcome to come for dinner with us sometime.
Oh, maybe.
But yes, we are. We all met by chance. we're all here, I suppose, for different reasons. But you know, as women traveling relatively alone, we decided we would stick together, and it has led to many adventures in the short time that we have been friends.
Well, that's lovely seeing strong women traveling together, keeping each other safe. But maybe if I'm free, I might pop down some evening for a drink. Maybe I'll see you there.
Yes, ask for me if you do with the barman.
Of course, absolutely. We should probably get back to your friends though.
Yes.
So, and also I need to feed the chickens. You had interrupted me just before I was about to, and
I'm so sorry. Thank you again for taking us in. It's just that you were the closest farm to the forest, and we were in no state, I think, to return to the town as we were. So thank you.
I'm sure Gwen would love to help you with feeding the chickens, no?
Yes, we do have chickens back home, and I haven't seen those little fluffy creatures in a while. So yes, absolutely, as I take the bucket of feed off her.
So you've headed back, you pick up the bucket of feed. Justine and Sylvia, you were just chilling, chatting to Madame Castillion, yeah?
Sorry, I forgot to unmute myself again. Yeah, basically, just kind of making small talk. I'm going to ask as well, just before they came to the village, what was the first strange fae activity that you know of?
Oh mon Dieu, I do not know. To be honest, I don't remember any one thing. It's like it's been a slow and gradual increase, if that makes sense. Slightly more fairies around, these Luthian, as I say, slightly more of the faux filet. I don't know, it's like the forest certainly just seems to be a bit more active, but then again, most people do not go in there. Even the hunters don't go in there generally, except for Monsieur Dubois.
Yeah, he seems to very much love to go into the forest to explore and to look for places to sleep, he says. And I'm kind of gonna really just
well, I can't comment. I do know that he is quite an accomplished hunter. He's very, very well liked by the locals, something of a local hero. Apparently, during the war, he made a reputation for himself through numerous acts of valor, or so it has been said. He was a capitan in the war, so bar him, as I said, most tend to stay out of the forest.
Yeah, because you know, in the forest there are probably not too many people who can refute his stories, as they are probably dead.
Justine?
By the locals. Are you not local yourself? Have you been living here long?
Oh no. We've been here for quite some time. Like I was, well, my husband is local. I'm not from the immediate area. I'm from further north. But my husband, his family are from the area. Not many generations. I think his grandfather maybe moved here. 70 years ago, I think. But yes, so my father is definitely local to the, or sorry, not my father, and my husband is definitely local to the area. But me, no. I mean, obviously I'm French, but I'm from further north.
Sorry, using my cantrip, Lesser to Lapidus and to Justine. So it's 7 words, is it?
Yes.
So.
Sorry, actually, yes, it's 7. After a long night's rest, you will level up to 4th level, and it will increase to 8.
So, could it be one of us out of 6?
So
I was just gonna say, Faye, or no, could it be triggered by us?
So the only problem with this is, Justine, you hear Sylvia's voice in your head, but you don't know the oh no, apologies, you do know the lesser telepathy cantrip, but you do not have the restricted caster feat, meaning that in order for you to use the cantrip, you would need to gesture and speak, making it obvious that you're casting a spell. Sylvia has some training in the restricted caster skill, meaning that she can cast cantrips without speaking or gesturing, and can cast first level spells with only gestures. But for you, Justine, if you wish to send a message back to her and you want to make it not obvious, that's going to be a sleight of hand roll.
Justine and saying this, so
if you want to cast the lesser telepathy cantrip back to her and not have it be obvious, Madame Castillion realize, oh, you're casting a spell, it'll have to be a sleight of hand roll as you try to mask your arcane gestures and words. If you want to,
I think Justine is not going to risk it, but she is going to look at Sylvia very, 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 very colorfully, like you know, like a light bulb above her head, almost like.
That's the make Faye or active, I don't know. Fucking backstory. Oh. Anyway.
Right, so Amanata and Mina have come back. Gwyn heads off with Juliet to feed the chickens. It's not that far. The chicken coop is like 15 meters from the house. Okay, it's far enough away that the smell won't drift in, but not so far away that foxes and wolves will easily be able to get there, you know? Yeah, Juliet is very interested in you. She's like, so, have you been in France long? You've got such a beautiful and colorful accent when you're speaking French. Where exactly is it you're from?
Oh, thank you. I'm still learning French. I'm no linguist by any stretch of the imagination. But no, I haven't been here long. I'm actually from Cornwall. It's in the southwest-ish of England, and so on the other side of the sea, north of France. And I came here after the war. We heard about the war and all the casualties. And my family, I suppose, are in the business of helping others. So it made sense for me to come here after my training and such. So I haven't been here long at all. And it was only by chance that I met my companions, and they've turned out to be great friends. And tell me about yourself. Have you lived here all of your life, or?
Well, I mean, I'm just a simple daughter of farmers. I'm not a healer and a warrior like you are. I mean, oh my lord, you're so fascinating. Truly.
You're so kind. You're so kind. Thank you. Oh no, I'm not that fascinating, really. Just, circumstance makes one what they are.
Oh, trust me, I completely understand being victims to circumstance. And when she says this, there is a kind of a momentary darkness would maybe be too strong a word, but there's a definite pensive look on her face as she says this. No, in answer to your question, I was born here on the farm. My mother is not originally from here. She married my father. She's from further north, but my father, he grew up here, his father as well, and yes, so yes.
I think I would have noticed the look across her face, so I'll just take her hand and say, I'm in the business of helping women who need help. If you ever need anything, you know where I'm staying. I'll just squeeze her hand a bit.
She squeezes your hand back and says, thank you. It's wonderful to meet a new friend.
Likewise.
So yeah, you're about 10 minutes. She's taking her time feeding the chickens because she wants to chat to you, and eventually, you see the father that you'd met before, Monsieur Castillion, Jean, walking back, and he's got with him his son, slowly walking towards you all, and the son is like, you can see at one stage the son tries to run off and his dad grabs him by the scruff and is like, no, you're not going anywhere, you're getting back to the house. And you both, Madame Castillion sees us like, oh, thank God, that boy will be the death of me. And she shouts out, Pierre, come on, dinner's ready. It's not, and she does, it's not ready. It's just, it'll take him 30 minutes to clean the dirt from his fingernails. Oh man. And it's just like, and you see the father and son get up to you, and Monsieur Castillion, sees you all, he gives a nod. There's a pause as he looks at Mina, per Mucus covered Mina, and you can now see the son. The son is like a carbon copy of the dad. Like a carbon copy of the dad. Same jet black hair that's kind of messily falling over, piercingly beautifully blue eyes, the dusky complexion. He's wiry and seems full of nervous energy, you know. He's not like a really stocky, muscular kid, but looks like a kid who probably spends all of his time running around, climbing trees, and, you know, but clearly has his father's good look. Just like, if the daughter is a copy of the mother, the son is a copy of the father. And the father, he gives his son a noise, like, go on in, you heard your mother, go in and get cleaned up. And he sees you all, like, oh, bonjour, it's good to see you are all safe and in one piece, although he kind of gestures to Mina as like, are you okay, mademoiselle? And she just kind of nods, and you do notice this, Mina's actually been very quiet during this whole thing, okay? But
it's just gonna kind of move to put a hand on her shoulder and then change her mind, because
yeah, she's covered in mucus.
And it's just like gonna kind of fold her arms and be like, she'll be fine, she can walk it off.
Mina,
Mina's tough.
Mina, are you okay? This has probably been the longest you've stayed quiet.
To which she replies, just kind of slightly scratchy. I think I'm coming down with something. I've got a slightly sore throat.
Mademoiselle, I'm so sorry. Would it be possible to get this cleaned off Mina? We don't know what it could possibly be doing to her, being on her skin like that, actually.
Of course, yes, we can. Well, if we want, we can go to the well, and unfortunately, I don't have a hot stone or any way to magically heat water, but we can certainly get some soap, and
that would be fantastic. Merci.
When you say that, Monsieur Castillion says, I will give you ladies some privacy and make sure my boy doesn't come out. And he goes inside after the son and leaves all of the women to do their women things, like cleaning and soap.
I'm just going to put my hands on Mina and kind of start walking us toward the well. I'm going to be quite concerned. I'm going to look at Justine like, this is very odd behavior, no?
So, do you mean the farmers or Mina?
Mina, the farmers, it is, the more I look at them, the more suspicious I am. I know it sounds absolutely terrible, and for that I apologize, but I understand familial similarities and all, but they look exactly like just smaller versions of their parents. Is that not a bit strange? You know, you have one blonde-haired parent, one dark-haired. You'd expect maybe some browns, or a brunette, but no, it's chop.
Strange too. And also, just Sorry. Just it sounds awful, and I apologize for that as well. But it really bothers me that they're just simple farmers. Have you seen their hair? Have you seen their skin?
No, that is not natural. I know that. How they look is not natural. They're not fey touched from what we can discern, because being fey touched will not just make you ridiculously gorgeous. There's something about it. They're beautiful. Their farm has been mostly unbothered. I wonder if I'm pretty sure there has to be some other farm where they have charms, and I wonder if they've had any sort of instances of this fae activity, but I don't know. I'm not saying they themselves are untrustworthy, but there's definitely something at play here.
Yes, there's something about them.
There.
Oh, yous are all yous are basically all headed towards the well. You get as you the wife, she's gone to get buckets and soap. And actually, just as you're finished, you do see her coming back out of the house, and she's got some. She has what looks like a bar of soap and some cloths, and she's got a bucket. But you're over at the well drawing. He's going to start drawing water up, so that try and clean Mina a bit off as she comes up to you. But she hasn't reached you yet, Sylvia. So if you want to say something in private.
While this is happening, I am going to say, I just think that it is very strange that this, the closer farm, was not attacked, yet the further farm was. That some people are just stunningly beautiful, but
coincidences.
No,
it's like they're having it all.
What I think is strange is the fact that this farm was not touched by the creature.
Oh,
that is what
absolutely.
I think is strange.
Oh,
I also wonder why they're still living so close to the forest.
Well, they have access to firewood, herbs, all of these things. You know,
it makes perfect sense to live close to the forest, but I agree, Sylvia. That was the first thing that that was the first thing that stuck out to me. Like, their farm was closer.
At this point, the wife and mother has come up. She says, "So I have some soap, I have some cloths, I have another bucket. This is from of the fire. This is a bit warmer, so we can at the very least clean this disgusting slime off your skin, my poor dear." And she kind of starts helping you, cleaning the mucus off of Mina's face, her hands, her arms. It was mostly her face, neck, and hands that got it, because obviously she has her long kind of heavy leather coat that she wears to provide some level of armor and protection. And thankfully the creature hadn't like fully swallowed her or anything. And the wounds that she had received, Sylvia's magic had closed up, so she's not bleeding anymore. But as you clean the mucus off her face, you can see there is a redness on her skin from where she had been in contact with this gross magic face snail slime, is the correct technical term, I believe. So and she's thanking you all, and she's cleaning her up as best you can. And Madame Castillion says, it will be dark in approximately an hour and a half, and it will be at least that long to get. It'll be longer. It'll be nearly 2 hours to get back to Cherville. So I would recommend that you get back quickly. Start heading now, so that you can get this poor girl into her bed.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you so much for allowing us to impose on you in such a manner.
We greatly appreciate it.
So difficult for you to deal with that, and also living so close to the forest must be so scary.
as I said, we don't go into it. We have our charms. We are. We are. I guess we are lucky.
You don't go into the forest, but we met your husband and your daughter in the forest.
No, you didn't. You met them in the field. These were close to the forest, but they weren't in the forest. No.
Okay. I was hoping I caught something.
Also, do we know for a fact that charms help against the Fae? Or is it sort of like superstitious and people don't know?
Well, you see, this is the beautiful thing about superstitions. Superstitions, especially magical superstitions in a magical world, are usually based on truth. And all across Europe, different cultures have different charms that they use, which do seem to offer certain levels of protection against the Fae. Like even certain like witches and sorcerers will sometimes like make a bit of money making these kind of charms and selling them to people, but they do work to a certain degree. Like you still, it's very rare that it happens, but you would occasionally hear of children being stolen away by the Fae, and sometimes a changeling being left in their place. No one's ever heard of that happening in a house that didn't have charms over the baby's crib, you know. So there does appear to be a certain level of truth in the efficacy of charms to protect the house.
Okay.
Do we know, as like a general knowledge, is it like a certain type of charm against like certain type of Fae, or are they sort of like universal?
Well, this is the thing. It actually very much depends on where you live. So does Justine have Fae lore? I can't remember. No, she doesn't. You have arcane lore, so you know I'll say that's enough. You would know then that the Fae in Ireland and Scotland, for example, are vulnerable to iron. So iron charms are incredibly effective against them. Not anywhere else in Western Europe, you know. And then you'd have, say, charms made of rowan. Is a very, very common one that works really well against most Fae, but not all Fae. There is no one charm that will work against provide protection against all Fae creatures. In order to have something like that, it would need to be an amulet, a magically enchanted amulet made by a witch, or a magically enchanted item made by a sorcerer or an artificer, you know, with a significant level of power in it. More charm-based folky magic will usually provide some level of protection against Fae local to an area, but is not necessarily guaranteed to protect against all Fae, or even all Fae within an area.
Probably knowing all that, should probably go and be like, oh, times are so scary and so difficult. I would like to see, if you allow me, I would like to see what kind of charms you're using that are so strong.
Yeah, well, she says, of course, and she shows you the charms, and Gwyn and Sylvia, you both immediately recognize these, especially you, Gwyn. These are actually very similar to the ones that you would have back home in Cornwall. They're bundles of short sticks of rowan. They have the dried berries still on them, wrapped, bound in red cord or red wool. These are very common to what you would see back home.
Yeah.
So do you eventually head back towards Cheville, yes?
Yes.
Okay, so you make your way back. As I say, it takes you a good 2 hours to get back. When you do get back, you are there's a small crowd in the inn. Some people have come for some food and for some drinks, and when you walk in, they all see Mina, and straight away, Madame Aubert, Marie, she comes and she's like, "Oh man, what happens to you?" I was like, "Well, we need to get you cleaned up," and she immediately brings her upstairs towards where the baths are. As her husband Jean was like, "What? You were gone all day. You come back. Your friend is."
We went to one of the farms close to close to the forest because there'd been an attack on one of the farmer's sheep, and it turned out it was a Lou Carcohl. And yeah, we followed it into the forest, into a cave. We attacked it. It tried to eat Mina, hence her quite unfortunate appearance at the moment. But overall, we managed to defeat it, and I'm quite concerned. She's been a bit out of sorts now, and I just hope it's not something to do with the mucus, because it was sitting on her for quite some time.
You did also almost get eaten by a giant snail.
Yes, the Lou Carcohl.
Well, that answers my question. I was about to ask, what's a Lou Carcohl? A giant snail?
Oh, with tentacles.
And very sharp teeth as well. Terrible, terrible thing.
But snails eat grass, not people. But
not the snail. It is very much a fake creature. Not very.
Fond of sheep.
Yes, from what I've heard, they're not. They aren't really found in a lot of, I suppose, populated areas. So again, this seems like one of those strange occurrences that's been happening recently here in Chevy.
Well, I'm sure my wife will have her. Susie, I think you're muted again. I'm sure my wife will clean her up. Would you all like some dinner?
Oh,
that would be great. But I must ask, so when we came here, there was the incident with the salamanders, but what else had been happening with the Fae before we came here?
I think there'd been a few sightings of faux fillet out in the fields, the will-o'-the-wisp. One or two people, I think, have had some run-ins with Lucien, fairies. And I know Dubois had said that the forest seemed more active. The last few times he'd been in there, he did say there seemed to be more general activity in the forest. He's one of the only people in the area who goes in there. Because...
Where exactly does Dubois live?
Oh, he lives in a house towards the edge of the town, the northwest corner of the town.
Would you know if he tends to be in, I suppose, around this time, or do you know if he's home at the moment? It's just you see the person who might have the answers. I'm not going there for any other reason.
Spends one night alone in his house.
Excuse, Mademoiselle, that's not why I laugh. I laugh because you think that any of us would know where that man is. He is a wanderer, a scoundrel. He could, he could be anywhere with anyone. So
we very much know that one afternoon with him was quite enough. And how would anyone, if they have any, like, if they need to see him, how would they get in touch with him? Would they just leave a note on his porch, at his front door, or?
No, they would generally just leave a message at his door, and that would be how they would get in touch with him. In fairness, when people do leave him messages asking for help, he is quite reliable. He does get back to people quickly to help with matters where he can. So I will say that for the man. Yes, so, but I haven't seen him in a day or two. The last time I saw him was when you all went and killed those direwolves, in fact, which was, 2 days ago, I believe. So I would not be surprised if he's not drinking in here tonight, he will probably be drinking here tomorrow night or the night after.
Sylvia's just going to use her lesser telepathy counter, say to Gwen, that fucking guy!
That fucking guy.
And how far away is his home?
Oh, it's like 10-15 minutes.
I'm going to turn to the rest of the party and say, I think it's just in case he isn't here tomorrow night, and we are looking for answers now, I'll go and leave a note at his house, and
We need
hopefully,
him.
well,
I'll go.
I'm talking to Vanda. If he maybe is a cause.
unfortunately, he might have the most information as to the sort of occurrences that have been happening here. Because he is a hunter, he might have noticed things that other people may not have. So just to leave him a message to say if he could meet us here tomorrow at some point, or whenever he happens to get back, just so we can ask him some questions.
Honestly, I'm to wonder if he maybe is a cause himself. Perhaps he had some sort of a dalliance with someone.
I very much would not put that against him.
But he would not know. How would he know? He has nothing between his ears. He only cares for physical pursuits. He's not going to think about anything else. I don't think we're going to get any answers from him.
I know he doesn't have much between his ears. However, what he does have between the ears is an eye for, as he eloquently put it, prey. So maybe he did notice something that some of the other townsfolk may not have noticed with that eye of his. If it's nothing, it is nothing. But if it is something and we have not asked and we are missing some key information that might illuminate this murky situation of ours, I think that would be a terrible judgment just because we cannot abide by the pig.
I agree with Aminata. I know you hate the man. I'm not very fond of him too. But you don't have to talk to him. It's fine. I'll go with Aminata and we'll see what happens.
Okay, so Aminata, you and Justine, you get directions and head to the boss house to leave a note, yes?
Yes, I'll write the note before we head out.
Yeah, what does the note say?
The note will say, I don't know, bonsoir, whatever. We'd like to speak with you about some of the other strange fae, I suppose, visits that have happened in Sheffield of recent. If you could find us in Le Petit Auberge, that would be, that would be greatly appreciated. And I'll sign it with Aminata.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so he is not there when you get there,
Mm-hmm.
But you leave the note. So yeah. And you head back. Yeah, you head back. When you two get back, Jean Michaube, who co-runs the La Petite Auberge, he serves you all some dinner. His wife comes down and says, "Oh, the poor girl! The mucus, it had gone through her clothes. It was on her arms, on her breasts, on her back, and it's all covered in this horrible rash. And we cleaned her off as best we could, but she's just said she's going to bed. I've taken her clothes. We'll wash them tomorrow, and horrible beastly creatures."
Maybe
Turn to Sylvia and say, is it worth, do you think, going up and healing her? I can go up and heal her a bit, but what do you think? You're the more experienced healer.
I have no magic left.
Well, also I will say this, Sylvia, because Gwyn, you do have some healing magics as well. But Sylvia, I suppose, has more theoretical training in healing, if you will. The kind of healing magic that you have cures wounds and injuries. There are other spells that you could learn that remove diseases and poisons and infections that would probably be better suited to what you think is happening here. Your healing word spell would probably not do much. It might help ease any sort of itch or pain, but probably wouldn't help remove the rashes,
What about my healing tether?
I'm wondering, will I go see I could go see the wise woman, the sister of the priest.
Well, so go in and answer your question.
Is it too late?
Well, it's never too late. So go in and answer to your question. It's similarly healing tether cures wounds and injuries.
Okay.
Certainly, Sylvia, if you wanted to, you could go over to her home and see if she's there, to try and see.
I'll go as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna get some advice, see if she has any salves or something, or advice on stuff. I don't have any herbs left to make any salves. My big devious plan, my next kind of thing is to make a ton of salves, give them all around to the rest of you. But
just to be aware though, your healing salves are used when carrying out a first aid action. First aid takes 10 minutes. It's something you can't do during combat. First aid can only be done out of combat. Whereas your healing tinctures, you can knock them back in a fight.
Okay, fair enough.
So just to be aware, like the mechanical aspects of that. Healing salves are still super useful. You know, I'm not saying they're not.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm just like, if we have a brutal fight, I'm out of mana. At least I have some way of helping.
Well, you would help with the healing tinctures that you've been making, which I think you've made 3 now, but no one's actually. I don't think anyone's actually used any of the tinctures so far.
No one's used any of the tinctures.
No.
But if it's not too late in the day, like
it's like 6:30, 7 o'clock in the evening.
Okay, so I'd like to
go. It is night time.
Okay.
We could go in the morning.
Yeah, first thing in the morning, I want to go and visit this wise woman and just kind of get a bit of help and stuff. That's my plan there.
Oh, okay. So, well, you have your meal, okay? You have a nice dinner, and you do go up to check on Mina. She's fallen asleep, but you can see where there's a kind of a rash or a redness appearing on her skin. You come back down. A few people had heard about the attack by the monstrous snail creature, and some of the locals are coming up to you and asking you about it. Really impressed that you're after tracking down this other monster and fighting it off. Especially when one of them recounts that they'd heard from the farmer that he'd shot the creature with his shotgun and it had done apparently no harm to it, you know.
The shell provides the creature a lot of protection. So.
Which reminds me, I need to go visit the blacksmith tomorrow.
Well, when you're saying that, they're like, you see, this is why we're lucky to have people like you here, because the gendarmerie, if they were fighting this creature with their rifles and their pistols, they would be lost. But you have your magic, you have that giant killer Swiss guard with her great halberd. I mean, I know it looks like something.
The halberd was very effective. My magic's not so much. The shell provided a lot of protection.
Well, all I'm saying is that the point is that now you do know that the shell was providing protection against the halberd. They're basically trying to make the point, like, you know, with Mina's poleaxe that looks like something you would see in a nobleman's, you know, mansion, or maybe in an exhibit in one of the cities. It's like, yeah, these are actually useful on your magic skills. The gendarmerie don't have these skills, you know. So as much as they might have wanted to, you know, ask them for help, if they're fighting a creature that has armor that deflects bullets, they're kind of screwed. Whereas you women with your magic and with your blades, you know,
careful.
Generally, police in France at this time, they don't train in fencing. You know, they're not using sabers. Military officers will train in fencing. They will actually use sabers on the battlefield, but police, no. But yeah, so yet again, a couple of locals offer to buy you drinks. You're having a fairly enjoyable evening, and
Sylvia is gonna have some whiskey because today has been a day.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Good idea.
I think Justine will try to like weave some questions about that mysterious family into conversations, and just like start sort of like asking people around who they are and like how long they've been living there and what people think, how like social they are, if they appear in town.
And people are like, when you mention the Castillions, like, oh yeah, the Castillion family, yeah. And when you ask them, oh, I don't know. I think they're not that old a family to the area. I think they only moved in about 2 generations ago, you know, so they're quite new to the area, you know. And Madame Castillion, she's not from around here. She's from further north. Jean, he's a good man. He's a good farmer. He has fine sheep. Has good land. He's maybe a bit crazy to have land that close to the forest. He's quiet chap, very, very quiet. They'd come to the fairs on the high days, and if ever you needed help with anything, he's always happy to help his neighbours. But they tend to keep to themselves for the most part, you know. They wouldn't be in church most Sundays. They'd only be there on some of the saints' days and Easter and Christmas. But they're fairly quiet. I know a few of the young men in the area have been talking about courting young Juliet. She's quite a stunning beauty like her mother, but then again, a few of us have had to worry about our wives around Jean, so we're kind of happy he doesn't come into the town that often. And they're laughing, is like, you know, farmers shouldn't be that beautiful. And
yes, they really should. They really shouldn't. We were quite taken aback by just how beautiful the entire family is. It just seemed quite odd, you know.
Well, and when you say that, like the locals just kind of laugh. It's like it's almost like a joke amongst the locals, because what the vibe you're getting from them is that they're a fairly well respected family. They are good farmers. They're good neighbours, but they're quiet and they keep themselves to themselves. But the locals, no one thinks anything bad of this. You know, it's like they don't cause any trouble. They're good neighbours, but they're kind of quiet, you know. Not much to really say about them, bar the fact that, as they acknowledge, they are far too beautiful to be simple farmers. So, yes, Justine?
Question, not from Justine. What direction is the forest?
North.
It's from the north, she says, yeah?
Yeah, so.
Oh, I see. See, when you say Amelie is from the north, do you know how far north?
They kind of look and they're like, when you ask them, it's like, I don't know actually. I don't think she's from Paris, but I think near Paris, but I don't actually know. She's certainly not from Paris. She's far too friendly to be from Paris.
Not all Parisians are hoods, although. However, nobody knows where she is. It seems a bit.
Oh, I'm not saying I don't know where she's from. I'm saying I just can't remember. That's all. It's not like it's. I'm sure someone's told me before, but. And they're kind of, it's just one of these things like they can't remember, you know? Yeah, it's...
Like just collective town amnesia. Can't remember.
You're asking a few of the local lads and they have been drinking, and when Amelie Castillion starts in conversation, they're more interested in talking about her looks than her family lineage, you know? So, yeah, so... it's not like a collective and in quite that way.
That is also something that, like, when she was explaining where she's from, she just said, I'm from the north. Yeah. Never really said where, whereas everybody else has been able to say, oh, my family's from this region or that region. Very rarely will somebody just say a general direction. And not elaborate.
There's no mention of any village or town that she's from or
You just happen to be from north. Where's north? The forest. And the glimpses of castles we've seen. But I digress.
I don't necessarily think that's related, but there's something going on.
At this point, everything could be related.
Oh.
At one stage, one of the farmers does say he thinks she's from a town actually outside Orleans, which is a large-ish city, which is north of Cherville. It's a fair, like it's maybe 170 kilometers north of Cherville. It's famous for its connections to Jeanne d'Arc, the patron saint of France. She was also known as the Maid of Orleans. But they do say, that one of them does say, I think she's actually from a town in that general direction. Orleans is, just to help with, as I say, it's about 170 kilometers north of where you are, and it's about 110 kilometers southwest of Paris. So, general direction. So, but they said, I think from there, but I'm not sure.
Even then, it's quite a long distance to travel. And farmers usually don't have money to travel that far. So I wonder how they met.
That is actually unusual. When he says that, you are right, Justine, that actually is probably the most, outside of these people's ridiculous beauty, that is the most unusual thing that you've heard about them so far, is the fact that she seems to be, for somebody who comes across as a simple farmer's wife, she seems to have traveled a very long distance
to get here.
The man that she's married to, rather, lived a considerable distance from the region that she was from, which would have you wondering, how did they know each other, Because you're right. Generally, people of that sort, farmers, they tend to marry within the same parish or within a couple of parishes over, so. But anyway, so that's the general vibes that you're getting from them. Nobody is saying that distance thing is the most unusual thing that you're getting. Apart from that, everybody's fairly positive about the Castillion family. Simple, good farmers, quiet, keep to themselves, but good neighbors.
Oh, yeah. While we're asking these questions, I'm definitely going to, be wordsmithing to make it come across very clearly that we're not just trying to be nosy about that particular family, but also asking about the town. Are many folks in the town superstitious? So same questions I would have asked,
Well, so I'm not even going to make you do a roll, because the one thing you've learned about the townsfolk here is they all love to gossip. All of them love to gossip. So giving anybody the opportunity to talk about a neighbor, they're going to jump straight in on that. So you don't even need to make a charm roll for this, okay? They're happily divulging all this kind of information, okay?
Mina would be horrified.
Mina
would. She's in bed.
Yes. How late are people staying up? Do people eventually start heading to bed?
Oh, yeah. I'd stay up. I'd stay up fairly late.
A little bit late, yeah. Get the goss, have some whiskey.
Sylvia is actually going to go to bed because she kind of wants to she's going to basically tell the rest of the group that she's tired. She kind of just wants to check on Mina.
Yeah.
And then also, I want to get up a bit early tomorrow and go to the washroom, so I don't want to stay up. But I am going to definitely have a bit of whiskey to try and just, because today was just...
Wake me up before you go.
What about Justine?
Probably going to stay because she doesn't want to go to her room alone.
Oh yeah, of course. So you end up getting into a couple of outfellas start not quite a drinking competition, but there was beer being had, and then the whiskey comes out, and They're offering you their pipe as well to share some tobacco, and you're getting into a good session. Like, and at one stage, like, one of the offers like, "Oh, I'm gonna go get some fresh air." As he starts to fill his pipe with tobacco, sauntering over to the front door. Does anybody want to join me for a smoke?
I'm going to
bed.
go. I'm going to go to try and get more information to see how loose the lips actually are at the stage.
So you wander out with this guy. This guy's in his like maybe early 60s, you know, and he's there. He has actually a goblin spark. These enchanted brass tubes that you can acquire. They have little balls inside them, and when you flick them, the balls click together, and a small flame illuminates. Essentially, they're a magic Zippo lighter. Okay, and he's using that to light the pipe as he's like, and he's drawing it in, and then his eyes go wide as he drops the pipe and he drops the goblin spark as he's looking off to the north into the night sky, and you look in the direction he's going and you can see the most bizarre thing ever, what looked to be a massive display of light, silverish and white light shooting up out into the sky in these beams that seem to be going on for, you don't know how, like, it seems to be way off in the distance, but going off in these beams that as they come out of the sky, they kind of break up into these motes that just like float off and dissipate. And it appears to be in, you know, at this stage, your bearings are pretty good, in the direction of the forest. This breathtaking display of magical light. As he goes, I drank too much, and he reaches down for his pipe and he puts it away. He's like, good night, and he starts to stumble off home. And I think this is a perfect place to take a pause on our story. So we're going to take a break here for about 10, we'll be back in like 10 minutes or 9 minutes, we're back at 9 o'clock. So thanks for everybody who's joined us so far, and we shall be talking to you all very soon, okay? So. Tendai, mute your mic. Go. Oh God. Okay, folks. Good to have everybody back. Can people hear me okay? Yeah, are we good on the stream? I'm not seeing anybody in chat saying. So I'm assuming our audio is good. Cool. Anybody in chat saying. So I'm assuming our audio is good.
Be excited if it's not though.
Yeah. Okay, so Aminata, when we last left you, you were outside about to share a pipe with some outfit, and you just saw this dazzling display of magical lights far off north in the direction that you know is the Forêt de Tronçais, the Tronçais forest, this enchanted fae-filled forest. The man was shocked by this, dropped his pipe and his goblin spark, picked him up and started stumbling off home. You're mute, Tendai.
Sorry. Before I'd gone outside, had everybody else headed to bed?
I think Gwyn and Justine were still inside drinking with some of the other outfits.
Okay. I was on my way up the stairs, I think, when your man started to go out for his pint. Or his pipe.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Just waiting for Aminata.
Perfect. I'm going to rush back inside, straight to Justine, and say, there was just there was a light display in the sky above the forest. It was all silver and shiny and pretty, and I've never in my life have I witnessed such scenes of magic.
Justine would just be like, what are you talking about? What were we doing there? What were we smoking? It's like she's tired and she's drunk and she's like, let's go to bed. I can't do this anymore.
But I hadn't even smoked. But yes. In the morning we will. Yes, in the morning I'll explain exactly what I saw. I'm going to rush to our room and just jot down everything that I saw.
Is everything okay, Aminata?
There was dancing light display in the sky above the forest. It was like beams of silvery lights. It was beautiful. It was gorgeous, and then there was just like shooting everywhere, and then it just kind of, I don't know. It was lights in the sky.
Was it shotguns? Was it magic?
No, it was magic. It was magic, and it was above the Tronçais forest.
Okay, well, that is alarming, considering we saw that beautiful Fae Palace, and I mean, I'm intrigued.
Oh, I know.
But it is strange. I've never heard of anything like that before. Lights in the sky, unless it's an explosion or someone using a lot of magic.
I could not hear any discernible sounds coming from it. It was just a beautiful display. The elder gentleman the monsieur who was out with me having a smoke, he was so startled he dropped his pipe and his goblin spark, and then he eventually very, very true. And this was even before any of us had smoked anything. So it wasn't the alcohol. I've drunk a lot more.
Are you sure?
I have drunk a lot more than this and seen far less.
Okay. Well, it sounds spectacular. I'm sorry I missed it. But I don't know what it means.
Oh, it was.
Could it just firework? Could it be just someone celebrating something?
No, fireworks have a sound. No, they whiz and bang, and no sound. Just light in the sky. It was beautiful and magical, but also at the same time kind of threatening. I don't know.
I I want to go back to the forest. I mean, when we saw the glimpse of that castle, I had such a strong urge to just go. Anyone else get that?
I too would love to go back in the forest. In fact, I
know, Justine. It was also scary, you know, but just
very. You guys are crazy. Faye. Oh my gosh.
Justine, it is known that, well, you of all people should know that I am a little crazy. I don't necessarily live by standard rules. True. But it's so much opportunity. It's remiss not to investigate, especially after seeing that night show. I will definitely need to go back to the forest. I still have to. There was the thief that was watching us as we were looking for the Lou Carcohl. So many different things, and
I agree. Think of what we could learn. Think of the things we could find. I mean, there are magical artifacts strewn throughout this world, and if we found them, it would only make us stronger.
Absolutely.
Justine is just not having it. She's just like, oh.
Justine is definitely traumatized.
Justine,
well, I'm not. I will go with you to the forest if you really want to go in the cold light of day tomorrow.
Merci. I absolutely would love to go. We'd need to wait some time, unfortunately, because of that note that I left at Monsieur Dubois' home. However, as soon as we can go, we will be out, because one thing I do not want to do is unfortunately get caught in the forest at night, especially with such a light display. It could only raise questions as to why was that happening? As you know, was it supposed to be some form of I don't know, advertisement? Was it supposed to draw more
invitation, maybe?
Is that why a lot of Fae have been showing up? Maybe these displays are typically happening at times where nobody's really around to see them, and that's why the Fae are drawn here. Like, I know they feel drawn here by some sort of a power, but it could very easily be they could be drawn here by the light. Like
possibly, perhaps they have some sort of event on and Fae are being drawn here. I think we should go as soon as possible. This time we will be prepared, so we can bring all our equipment and bring supplies. I really think this may be an invitation for us. I mean, they know we were in the forest before. The forest opened up and showed us, displayed us the palace. That to me was like an invitation. This is one too. I think we should go as soon as possible.
They just sent a note or something. You guys are mad, but if you're going, I'm going too, because the last thing I want is like looking for your corpse in the forest. Aminata, how am I going to look your mother into the eyes if you just disappear? Oh my god, I'm going to bed.
Aminata's going to look after Justine and then turn back to Gwen and grip Gwen's hands and say, "We have to go. We have to investigate Fae's. Something there. We will figure it out as long as we spend enough time in the forest, but we need to go. It's unfortunately, it might be helpful to have that fucking brute with us. However, if we can go for some small amount of time, walk around and maybe head back and see if he's back to be there with us in case he's handy to have. At the end of the day, he could just be a meat wall, you know, and take some
I'm concerned for his safety with me near him. Truly, he was obnoxious and I will not spend another moment with him. We do not need him. He is a brute and honestly, quite frankly, will probably scare off any Fae that we encounter.
You know what? I never even considered that, and that could be very true considering we have a number of Fae touched in our party, and we have, you know, at least most of you have ability to magic. Maybe that's why, like earlier today, the Sikh who was watching us when we were looking for the like, why did that happen? Just watching us from a tree as like a bird. Just there's so many questions, but I believe Justine is right. We should probably get some sleep because it will be a very long day tomorrow. But yes, I'm very excited.
Okay, so you head to bed, yes? All right, you head to bed, you have a long night's rest. You have leveled up now, so you are now 4th level, which was something that we did outside of stream in preparation for tonight's session. So you are now at 4th level. This means that you all gain, now that you have gone up an even numbered level, you all get a free level of training in a skill, talent, or feat. Our spellcasters all have now learned their first 2nd level spell. In the Fey Art system, for our viewers who are not familiar with it, magic has 5 levels. Okay, so 1st to 5th level, 5th level being the most powerful spells. So our party has learned, you can all now, Sylvia, Gwyn and Justine, learn your first 2nd level spell. Sylvia and Gwyn as a druid, and which respectively you learn new spells through meditation and prayer. Justine, as a sorcerer, you learn new spells either by copying a spell from another sorcerer's book of shadows or by carrying out magical arcane research. You have just enough supplies left to carry out the research for the 2nd level spell, but you will need to go to the postmistress to order more supplies from the city because they wouldn't have them. You can do that today, Monday, if you wish. Also, Gwyn, the perfume vials that you'd ordered and these new screw top jars are ready for collection today. I believe you'd already paid for them. So the jars that Sylvia and Sylvia and Gwyn had ordered, and then the small little perfume vials that delicate little glassware vials that you would put perfumes into or other potent chemical concoctions are now ready for collection. Gwyn, will we slightly retcon and say that you were talking to some of the farmers last night and saying that you're looking to get yourself a rabbit's foot, so if any of them happen to snare any rabbits on their farms, if they could save a foot for you?
Yes, definitely. I need one for my new
you need one for your new amulet. So you wake up the next morning. Sylvia, you wake up and you turn over and you nearly cry out as you look at your dear friend Mina. Her skin is covered in this almost like it's like a faint green colored rash covering her skin. It's the most horrific looking thing you've ever seen in your entire life. As she slowly wakes up and you can see she's trying to speak, but her throat is swollen. You can see her glands are swollen. And she looks at you and she's like, just gasps out for some water. And she looks...
Don't get up. You stay in bed. Okay, I think you had some sort of a reaction to that slime. I don't know what, but you stay right there. I am going to get dressed. And I'm going to go down, I'm going to get you some breakfast, I'm going to get you some water, and then I think, if I can, I might go and see the wise woman and see if she has any advice. I don't know what the others are doing today, but just hold on, I'm going to get you some food and some water, okay? I'm just gonna, is she looking at me?
She is looking at you, yeah.
Okay, Sylvia is just gonna start, she doesn't give a shit. She's just stripping off, making absolutely no effort to cover herself. She's just getting dressed as quickly as she can so she can go downstairs, get the food. She's not even trying to turn her back on Sylvia, so I assume Sylvia is probably horrified by this being a good Catholic. But Sylvia absolutely does not care at all, so she's just doing that and then just gonna run downstairs.
Okay. You run downstairs. Jean is there. He sees you. He's like, "Oh, bonjour. Would you like some breakfast?"
Actually, if possible, could you very quickly throw something together for me? She is not all. I think from the mucus, she has some sort of, her skin is her throat is sore. Her skin is it's very unfortunate. I'd like to bring her some water and maybe some breakfast.
Of course.
I don't, it looks like some sort of an infection, and I don't know how to deal with this. So could you do that very quickly, and perhaps would you have a paper and pen? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a note to the rest of the group saying that Mina is absolutely not well. Don't disturb her. I need to go out to the wise woman to see if I can get some advice, and then on the way back I want to swing back and pick up those jars and things. So I might say, Gwyn, I'll see you at the shop at X time something.
Right, so you're writing a note, and as you're writing it, Jean comes back to you. He's got a bowl of porridge, and he has a glass of water, and he has a small cup of coffee, and he says, and he goes to start bringing it up to the room.
I will do it.
Okay, so he hands.
She's in her night clothes, you understand.
Of course, so he hands you the tray. You go up to the room. As you go into the room, you can see Mina has gotten out of bed, and she is putting on her dress to go to mass. But she looks pitiful.
I think you should stay in bed. I know that if you like, I brought you some breakfast. Why don't you stay in bed?
Would any of us across the way be awake to hear any of this?
Maybe all you would have really heard maybe is footsteps. You're not going to hear a conversation through closed doors, on opposite sides of the hall.
No,
but would we hear that safe movement in and out of the room?
Like Sylvia runs down the stairs. She walks very quickly back. She doesn't run back with the tray. She doesn't spill it everywhere. She's walking very quickly. And she's not making any effort to be quiet because she's focusing on getting to the room as quickly as she can.
Yes,
okay.
Yes. Would have heard footsteps.
Hearing those footsteps and hearing the door close, Aminata would have pretty much knocked as soon as possible afterwards, and kind of peeked in ahead and said, "Bonjour, how is?"
So I have left. Mina, I think that you should get back into bed and focus on saving your strength. So what I might do is I
will go to the church and see if the priest can swing by to give you a blessing. I know that will probably make you feel a bit better, no?
And she mouths out thank you to you, because you can see from her inflamed throat she's having difficulty speaking.
And with that, I'm just going to kind of grab Sylvia's hand and say, I know it's not something you'd enjoy doing, so it is no problem. I can do that myself. And I also do need to, source some more bullets and tend to my gun.
I was wanting to see if she can give me some advice on helping Mina.
Would you like some company?
Yeah, this would be good, thank you. I will probably swing by the glass blower on the way back. I have left a message down with Jean. So yeah, let's do that.
You've seen hearing all the footsteps and stuff. Should probably start getting dressed. So if Aminata is returning back to the room, Justine was probably going to go with them, because she needs to place some order, and I'm actually going to do it before I conduct any magical researches. So just in case.
For a trip to the forest, so you guys go, I'll get us lunch, and yeah.
Think about the forest. I think we should postpone our trip because I think it's very unfair to go without Mina.
No.
It's unfair to leave her alone, and it's also unfair without her.
You are.
I want to go and see if this woman can give me some advice. My knowledge of healing is in relation to wounds and cuts and that sort of thing. I cannot treat an infection. I don't know how.
Me neither.
Justine, you are correct. Gwen, I know we were quite excited last night about going to the forest. So as soon as we possibly could, but it would be remiss to leave Mina, considering, how.
What's going on in the forest?
That's true. No, that is true.
I'm so sorry. I forgot. Last night, after you went to sleep, yourself and Mina were gone. When I went out with Monsieur to have a smoke from the pipe, when we looked over the Tronçais forest, there was a spectacular light show. It was similar to what did you say, Justine? The fireworks. However, there was no sound. It was definitely magic. Definitely. However, no sound, just over the forest. And we were speculating that this might have been, maybe this is the type of activity that has been drawing Fae to the area. It seemed like, it could be something like, I don't know, an advertisement or, something designed to attract people or attract creatures that way. Maybe this has been happening at times when, the regular people would be asleep. I know there probably wouldn't be very many night owls who'd be out at that time. The town seemed very quiet when myself and Monsieur went out. So that is just my own speculation. I believe that yes, the Fae have said they're getting drawn here. Maybe they're very overtly being drawn here by something.
It sounds like something is happening in the forest, but and perhaps we should investigate. But I would like to see if there's any ways if we can deal with Mina's condition.
Oh no. We won't go into the forest until we have Mina by our side. It would be very unfair and not anything somebody who's in a team should do, no?
Yeah, but we also don't know what could happen if we do not investigate.
True. But we're already waiting to see if I know, Gwen, you don't want him to join us, but he seems to know the forest like, unfortunately, the back of his nice hand, and we're probably
our time. I really do think that. I feel quite accomplished. I do not need to sit around waiting for a man to come in and save the day.
Oh no, I'm not suggesting that at all.
But this is what we are doing by waiting around, doing nothing, and getting Dubois.
Well, case scenario.
It's not that.
So just to clarify, you are having. I assume everybody's up, including Gwyn, yes, and you are having this conversation as you're walking along. What direction are you going in? Are you heading in the direction of Madame Choisy, the village midwife and herbalist, or
Sylvia's plan was
cool.
Yeah.
And then is the plan that Sylvia's going to go to Madame Choisy while Gwyn goes to the glass blowers, and then Aminata and Justine go to the post office, kind of split up and carry out respective tasks that way, yes?
Do. Yeah.
So as you are having this conversation, as you get to Madame Choisy's cottage, and you can see smoke rising up from the chimney. She's clearly up. So this is where the midwife is. So.
Okay, Sylvia's gonna go knock on the door.
Okay, so while Sylvia's gone off that, does Gwyn head off to the glass blowers while Aminata and Justine head to the post office?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So Then we'll start with Sylvia. So you go up, you knock on the door. After a moment, you hear footsteps, and a moment later, the door is opened. Madame Choisy, you've met before, human woman, as in not Fey touched human, early 60s, short, plump build, grey hair that she's kind of got plaited and wrapped in a bun, brown eyes, round face, kind of rosy cheeks, and she wears these oval glasses that's just kind of piercing the end of her nose with a kind of black heavy one on the skirt, and navy and grey check shawl as she sees you. Is like, oh, good morning, my dear. Can I help you? It's very early. Is everything okay?
See, I am very, very sorry to trouble you at such an early time, but my friend Mina, you may have met her. The other day we encountered a quite monstrous snail creature, 2 meters tall, Lou Carcohl. I can't really remember what it's called, Neil.
Also, you're Prussian, so your French pronunciation is crap. So.
Lou Carcohl.
Lou Carcohl, okay. And she was covered in the slime because, you understand, it tried to eat her. And her skin, she is infected, and her throat is very sore. She's finding it very hard to wounds and not infection. So perhaps maybe you could help me?
Okay, come on inside. I can make something. So it's kind of like a terrible rash that's covered her body, yes?
Yeah, and her throat is swollen and painful, and the rash is green, and she's
green?
quite ill. Yeah.
I'll make a paste for the rash.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'll make a tonic for her throat.
Oh, this sounds wonderful. Thank you so much.
Okay. And so you just
May I also say your garden is beautiful.
Yeah. And she goes and she starts getting stuff off of shelves, and she's got some dried herbs and plants, and she's got a few potted plants, and she goes out to the garden and picks some stuff. The garden isn't quite that luscious because it's January, you know. So there's not any flowers or anything like that, but there is some hardy herbaceous plants that she's plucking leaves off. And over the next like 30-40 minutes, she prepares this concoction, and it's like a mixture of ground plants of various different sorts. She adds some milk to it as well, and she makes this paste, this white paste that has a hint of mint or menthol off of it, and she scoops it all up from her pestle from her mortar rather into a jar, and she puts that aside, and then she cleans everything off and prepares another concoction, and then she puts that into a kettle and puts that over the fireplace and brews that up for about another like 15-20 minutes.
While she's doing all this, Sylvia is kind of looking just around her house, trying not to be trying not to be nosy, but just in a like, oh, this is really nice, because like, yeah, this was Sylvia had a plan, and the plan had to change, so she's kind of looking around at the house and just being, kind of seeing the big comfortable chairs and the warm fire.
Yeah, there's a real kind of sense of like loss that you're feeling looking around at this beautiful homely place that was kind of like something that you hoped for yourself. But so you're there for the better part of an hour, after which point she hands you the jar and she hands you a small bottle. It says 2 silver for everything, okay?
Oh, thank you. Are you sure only 2 silver?
Yeah. No. 2 silver is fine. 2 silver is like, don't forget, 2 silver is a not insignificant sum of money.
Yeah, we're not like 20th level and loaded anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So like, to put into context, the workers in the factory are probably making somewhere between 8 and 10 silver a week. So 2 silver, that's approximately a fifth of a weekly wage. So it's actually a fairly hefty sum of money, you know.
Could I?
Sorry, Susie, you just broke up on me there. Can you repeat that?
Oh, what herbs did you use in? I'm going to start smelling it and trying to guess.
Actually, honestly, there was quite a few different things, and it wasn't just the herbs, it was the preparation itself. Maybe some other time we can discuss it, okay?
I would like that, thank you.
So here you go.
I won't trouble you anymore.
No, so put this on your friend's rashes, and then get her to drink a small glass of this, and it's still warm. Later on when she's having more, just to put a drop of hot water in it, the heat will help, okay?
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And then I'm just gonna go before I like say something and get vaguely emotional.
Okay. So Gwen, you head to the glass blowers.
Yes.
Okay, so you head over to the glass blowers. At this stage, like 9:30 in the morning, okay? And you go in and you see Julie Leclerc. This is the glass blower's wife, and she is, you know, she kind of has the storefront section of it, while her husband, Antoine, he works in the back. And when she says, oh, bonjour.
Good morning.
The vials.
Yes, yes. That's me. I'm here to collect them. And the jar, the new...
Yeah. The sealing jars with the tin tops for you and for your friend, yes?
Yes. I cannot wait to see them, yes.
So she goes, there's one moment, and she goes into the back, and she comes back out a minute later with this wooden box, and she opens it up. It's a simple plain wooden box lined with hay, and she has, I can't remember the number of vials that you ordered. I think it was like 4 or 5.
I think it was 5, yeah.
Yeah, so they're small little glass stoppered vials. Each one looks like it holds probably no more than 50 mils. Like, these are the kind of glass vials that women would put expensive perfumes into, you know, that you're just taking a drop of at a time. And then there is a number of, I think you each ordered 2 or 3 of these. They're plain jars, but they have a tin screw top that seals. So unlike the jars that most people use, where you would just put some waxed cloth over it and bind it with some twine, these are properly sealing. So it says like, well, here you go, my dear. You'd already paid. So
yes, we have.
And she's gonna hand you this simple plain wooden box that she has them all in.
Marvelous. This will make such a difference. I mean, the thought of things not leaking is just amazing. I'm glad we live in these times.
Oh, most certainly. Most certainly. So, so you head off. Aminata and Justine, you were heading to the post office, weren't you? Okay, so you get to the post office. You were told where the post office is. Neither of you has been in here before. But you go in. It's a simple, standard country post office. There's a single woman there standing behind a counter. She's human, not fey touched, early 50s, average height, slightly plump build. She's got dark brown hair. She's in wisps of grey and a plaited bun and a bright white linen blouse with a cameo brooch on her neck. And she has this navy check shawl around her shoulders as you come. She says, oh, bonjour. How can I help you ladies this morning? Do we have some letters to send off to some menfolk perhaps? Or are you expecting packages maybe?
Bonjour. We are quite new to the area. I'm hoping to order some bullets.
Sorry, some what?
Some ammunition for my pistols.
Oh, mon Dieu. Oh, you're those girls, the adventuring heroes. I met one of your friends the other day. She had a German accent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. So of course. She explained to you how the ordering system works here. Yes.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. Would you happen to know what sort of bullets I can order or ammunition? I'm just not sure without being
Well,
able
I mean, is it for a? Are you ordering? Is it for a revolver? Is it for a rifle? Is it for a shotgun?
Yes, it is for. I need bullets for revolvers, and it's the type of bullets in particular that I'm looking for. What materials would be
I mean,
available?
the local town, they have. I know they have standard lead bullets. I could send an inquiry. Do you need them made of a special metal?
Um, I'm just going to look over Justine and think, are there any metals that you know that might be helpful with big creatures? Could I do a Fey lore roll?
Absolutely. You do have Failure, don't you?
I do indeed.
Yeah, okay. I don't see it on your character sheet, but I was pretty sure I remember us discussing that you would have it because of your background.
Mm-hmm.
So it would just be +2 to the roll, intellect of 1, and then Failure +1.
So that is an 18. Jesus.
Now I can do roll as well because I have science.
This would be Failure, not science. Sorry.
What about arcane lore?
Nah, not so much. But you could maybe try to give me an arcane lore roll for the description of the magical light show that you described last night, but not really for this. So with that 18, yet again, you would know that there are certain Fae that have certain vulnerabilities to metals like iron, but that tends to be in Ireland and Scotland. Beyond that, I mean, you do know that certain undead, so specters and the likes, are completely immune to mundane weapons, but weapons made of silver can have an impact. There is, of course, the famous garrots or werewolves of France. Such creatures are vulnerable to silver. So silver or enchanted weapons. But you would also know that, something like silver bullets, that's going to be a bit more expensive as well, So
It's going to be very, very costly.
Yeah.
Would you happen to know the cost of the silver ammunition?
She thinks for a minute and she pulls out a journal and she says, normally you would buy silver bullets in packets of 5, and from my suppliers it would be, including the shipping, it would be 15 silver for 5 bullets. So, which is a lot of money for yourself, Aminata. Although you've actually got a fair, it's a fair bit of money, but you actually have a lot more than the rest of the party. So you'd certainly be able to afford, if you wanted. So 15 silver, that's one gold and 5 silver. That would be for 5. If you're looking for standard lead bullets, it's 2 silver for a box of 10.
Okay. In that case, I would like to order I know it's probably quite a bit presumptuous of myself, but we never know what we'll run into these days. I'll probably order 2 packets of silver bullets. And you said that I'd be able to get just the standard lead here, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll go and get the other bullets here instead. I also might be able to leave my revolver. It misfired, so to get it looked at, that would be great as well.
Well, I can't help you with that. You need to go to the blacksmith.
Oh yes, no. Apologies, I was just thinking out loud. Yes, I'll go to the blacksmith after this, but just for the 2 packets of bullets, that would be fantastic.
So, well, if you want, did you want 2 boxes of silver and 1 box of lead?
I'll get the 2 boxes of silver from yourself, and I'll go and get the lead from the blacksmith.
The blacksmith doesn't sell bullets.
Okay, so do I get the bullets from yourself?
Well, I will order them, and then how urgently do you need them? So there is a market. We have a market in the town the first Sunday of the month. So the next market will be in 2 weeks. Or for an additional 5 silver, I can have a courier ship these supplies to you.
Sooner would probably make a lot more sense. 2 weeks seems just a bit long. We're not too sure how long we'll be in the area for.
Okay.
So, the 2 boxes of silver bullets, 1 box of standard lead, and the extra 5 silver for.
So that would be 3 gold and 7 silver.
Okay. Aminata is going to. I'm going to hand over the gold.
Okay, so you give her the coin, and she gives you back your change, and then she turns to you, Justine, and is like, and can I help you, mademoiselle?
Yes, I need supplies. I'm a sorcerer, so I need some magical items. I think she used what was it, like gemstones?
Well, you can tell me what you decide yourself. What are the arcane supplies that Justine uses in her arcane research?
She uses like gemstones.
I think it was semi-precious stones, wasn't it?
Yeah. There were, yeah.
So you give her a note for powdered semi-precious stones. So the mechanics for it are it's 1 gold worth of supplies per spell level. Okay, so you decide how much. So Justine, you currently have. You don't have quite as much money as Aminata does. You have 3 gold and 15 silver or 13 silver. So how much do you want to spend?
I will also help with whatever.
Okay, I think it should be okay. Probably 2 gold.
Just to be aware, 2 gold means that when you level up again, you would have enough supplies for 2 first level spells or 1 second level spell. That would be it. At 5th level, you get a first and a second level spell. So you would need a minimum of 3 golds worth of supplies.
Okay, 3 gold is fine. I'll still have like 13 silver or something, so should be fine.
Yeah. Okay. Super.
I'm just going to put down the additional gold pieces before Justine gets a chance.
No.
Oh, you're my friend. Don't be silly.
So
I'll just hug Aminata.
Okay, so Aminata, you give another 3 gold. Okay. And so she takes this from you and says, okay, so I'm going to send this now. And she takes out a device that you've both seen before. It's an arcanogram. It looks like a mirror with a silver frame covered in arcane runes. She takes out a silver stylus and she starts writing a message on it. And as the stylus touches the glass, a silvery font appears. And then eventually she keys in a couple of our glyphs. And there's a flash of light and the glass goes clear as the message is sent. And she says, okay, that has been ordered for you. So the materials will arrive on Wednesday.
Merci. We will be back on Wednesday.
Okay, thank you very much. So, did you want to go to the blacksmith's next?
Yes, please.
Okay, so...
You might then just go to a church and try to talk to that priest.
Okay.
Be on the way.
They're quite close to each other.
Okay, so we'll stop at whichever one is closest first.
So you can head into the church. The morning mass is finished, so you could head in there first to talk to Pierre Choisy about Mina if you wish. Okay, so you head in and he's in there. He's talking to some elderly women as he sees you both. Because he's like, oh, bonjour. How is your friend Mina? We did not see her this morning at Mass.
Oh, that is actually why we are here. Is it not, Justine?
Yes, indeed. It is, that's why we're here. You know, Mina, she's so great. She does so much to protect this town. And she never ever missed a Mass. but she suffered a horrible, terrible accident yesterday.
Oh,
Yeah.
Fighting this.
Is she okay?
Oh, she's been afflicted with like a greenish rash on the skin, and her throat is incredibly hoarse. She, even when we were checking in on her, she had been trying to don her best Sunday dress to come to mass, but we told her that and it was far too dangerous for her to attempt to do such a thing, and we said we'd stop by here and ask yourself, Father, to see if you would be so gracious and so kind as to go by Le Petit Aubert and give her maybe a small service, a little blessing. I'm sure it would make her feel so much better. She is so devout, and we know that her spirit would cherish this.
Of course. I will head over. It will have to be later in the afternoon, but I will go over. I will say some prayers with her. We can do a decade of the rosary together. I'm sure she would love that.
She absolutely.
Very much, Father.
Mm-hmm.
She was very, very upset that she couldn't go to the mass today.
Of course, of course. Well, thank you, my dears, for telling me. That is good Christian work from both of you, and I'll be sure to keep everybody in my prayers.
Aminata is going to actually just be very, smiley, but also try not to recoil too much at the Christian comment, and link arms with Justine as we head to the blacksmith.
Okay, so you head over to the blacksmith's. It's a typical blacksmith's forge. You see there's a man there. He looks to be in his kind of late 30s, human. He's tall, he's above average height, and he's got a very kind of lean, muscular build. So I'm not talking like big and buff, but like he's strong, Think farmer strong, you know what I mean? That kind of build. And he's working on the forge as you both come in, and he kind of pauses as he puts his hammer down, and he says, bonjour, can I help you?
Bonjour, monsieur. I'm very glad to find somebody in. I was wondering if you would be able to have a look at my pistol. It's misfired yesterday when we were fighting some creature in the forest, and I could always tend to it myself, but I don't want to make any issues worse by accident, and I don't necessarily know if I would have all the tools.
Oh, okay. Well, of course we can. Thank you very much. I will absolutely look at it, but we are being raided. Hello, everybody. First ever raid. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Fayearth. So yes, it will. I can have it ready for you tomorrow if that would be okay.
That would be magnifique. Thank you.
Of course, absolutely. So he takes the pistol off you, going to repair it from the misfire that happened when you were fighting the giant's fey snail yesterday, and you I guess you head back to the inn.
Yeah.
Okay. Sylvia, when you got back, poor Mina, she's kind of in and out of sleep, covered in this greenish, bizarre rash from the mucus of the Lou Carcohl, the giant man-eating snail that you fought yesterday. She sees you've got the stuff. You give her a glass of the tincture, and as she drinks it back, she's like, oh, you can see it's helping with the throat. And then you start to slowly undress her so that you can apply. Think of it like, oh, what's the name of that stuff that, you remember when you were a kid and you got the chicken pox?
The chamomile lotion.
The chamomile lotion. It's basically like chamomile lotion that you start applying. And as you do, like she's kind of, you're mute, Susie, I think. So as you put it on,
it's calomile, not
calomile, sorry. So as you put her, she kind of winces slightly, but then there's this cooling, balming effect from it all. and she squeezes your hand thankfully as you finish. And I assume
Sylvia's just gonna kind of tap her shoulder in it. Yeah, you don't worry about it. It's fine.
Okay.
There.
So yeah, you help her now. You're with that, and you're pretty. Instantly, she seems to be much easier, and she falls back into a much more restful sleep. So yeah. When you go back downstairs, you're mute again, Susie. When you go back downstairs, Gwyn has the jars, and she hands you your jars. Justine, are you planning on going to do your arcane research to learn your new 2nd level spell? Yes.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so it's gonna.
Your favorite part of leveling up.
It will be. This will be. You're using the last of your supplies. Okay, and it's a 2nd level spell, so you have to beat a target number of 17. So I need you to roll a d20 and add your +4 for magic, and this will take 2 hours of your day.
Okay, so even if Mina hadn't been sick, we really would.
I rolled 13.
Plus 4.
17.
So you got exactly what you needed. Just for those who have joined us who are unfamiliar, the sorcerers in this system, when they learn a new spell, they can learn the spells by either copying a spell from another sorcerer's book of shadows, or they carry out arcane research. Our players just leveled up, so our sorcerers, Justine, learned a new spell, and when a sorcerer has a magical mishap, they fail to roll, they still learn the spell, but hilarious things happen. Usually a minor temporary physical change. Sometimes if they roll really badly, it can be a permanent physical change. The last time Justine leveled up and was learning new spells, they rolled really badly, and as a result their eyes turned white and they became hypersensitive to light. They gained this terrifying shadowy aura, and they had cloven hooves for a few hours, which was somewhat problematic because some of the villagers were worrying about these upstart women who had turned up in the village. So the last thing they really needed was somebody with a demonic aura and cloven hooves. But no magical mishaps this time. So you learn your new 2nd level spell, Arcane Bolt. You, over the next 2 hours, add that to your Book of Shadows. And Sylvia and Gwyn, you spend some time learning your new spells. For you as a witch and a druid, it's simple meditation and introspection, but that's all you need, and you can add your spells to your Book of Shadows. Gwyn adding it to the tome that you have. Sylvia, as a druid, carving Om into little discs of wood that you carry on your person, as the druids store their spells carved using the Om alphabet, usually into wands or staves, but you using small discs of wood. Okay, and I think this is a good place to finish tonight's story. You've all trying to decide what to do next. Your friend Mina hopefully going to recover soon from the allergic reaction to the slime of the giant snail that you were fighting yesterday, and hoping to investigate this strange, dazzling display of magical light that you saw in the enchanted forest approximately 20 kilometers north of the town that you were in. So lots of plans on what to do next.
Pig. Without getting that absolute pig to help us.
You could ask the local legends, the wonderful hero Philippe Dubois, who's loved by all, to come with you when you go back into the forest. Maybe he can help you. He certainly was of help.
For his safety with Gwyn around.
Well, he was very...
It's a terrible idea.
He was very useful when you were fighting those dire wolves a few days ago. Punching a dire wolf nearly to death.
What was the price? What was the price?
Your pride, okay?
Our sanity.
Well, listen, thank you. Thanks, everybody, including those who jumped in on that raid. Lovely to see you all. And we will be back, same bad time, same bad channel, next Tuesday at 7:30. So thanks, everybody. Good night, all.